Hello, and thank you for joining us for the Spotify for Artists Masterclass. My name is Joe Hadley. I lead the music partnerships team at Spotify, and every day we work with artists and their teams to help them make the most out of Spotify and set them up for success. I'm here at the Spotify studios in Los Angeles, and later in this episode, we'll be heading over to Electric Lady Studios in New York City, where we'll be joined by two very exciting guests, Drew Maniscalco from Atlantic Records and Emily Puterbaugh from Secretly Group. With Masterclass, we give you a look at some of the trends that we're seeing globally and share insights into how Spotify works. Check out some of our previous episodes over on Spotify for Artists. Today, we're going to be talking about a subject which is top of mind for a lot of artists right now, the challenges of breaking new music. In the age of social media, too many great songs are lost among all the short-lived viral moments and fleeting trends. It feels harder than ever to build a loyal and consistent audience for your releases. Artists and fans crave the excitement and anticipation that you only get with that special experience of pressing play for the very first time. At Spotify, we're committed to building the world's best home for your new music and creating that excitement around the release moment. I'm going to be talking about the tools that put your new releases at the center for fans. Think of this as your new release playbook on Spotify. And then, to put it all in the context, I'll hand it over to Drew and Emily to hear how they've used these Spotify for Artists tools to help their releases break through. In today's world, crafting a pre-release strategy to build momentum can be a fragmented and challenging process. That's why we built Countdown Pages, the ultimate destination for driving pre-saves and streams of your new music right where fans listen. With Countdown Pages, listeners can pre-save the album or EP, check out the track list, watch clips, browse your latest merchandise, and see your upcoming listening parties. Once that countdown clock hits 0, all of your fans who are pre-saved will receive a push notification and have the album saved directly to their libraries. This is a really powerful feature, and on average, nearly 70% of users who pre-save an album listen to it week 1, helping to boost those crucial early streaming numbers. We know that an important part of releasing music is getting the opportunity to tell the story behind the song to your fans. So, alongside your countdown page, you can also use clips to tease your new music, share your creative world with fans, and build momentum leading up to release day. In a study of more than 500 artists, those who uploaded clips to their countdown pages averaged twice as many album pre-saves as artists who didn't. Clips are under 30-second vertical videos that let you express your creativity while keeping your music front and center. They can be tagged directly to your tracks and can even be pre-scheduled to go live the second your song comes out. But clips are just one of the great visual tools you can use to amplify the world around your music at any moment in your release cycle. You may already be familiar with Canvas. These 3 to 8 second looping visuals can turn any song into a more immersive experience, and we've seen that this visual companion to your music can be a powerful way to drive engagement. But sometimes 8-second snippets aren't enough. That's why we've started to introduce music videos to Spotify. The full music video can be watched after tapping the Switch to Video toggle within the Now Playing view on select tracks. Music videos on Spotify are designed to conveniently reach fans and pull them into your creative world right where they're already streaming. After discovering a track with a music video, Spotify listeners are more likely to save, share, and repeatedly stream the song in the next week. Music videos on Spotify are in beta with a limited number of distributors, but we plan to bring this feature to more distributors soon. Head over to Spotify for Artists and check out these great video and visual features and how to make the most out of your artist profile on Spotify. Once you've prepared the visuals for your release, you can focus on getting your music in front of your fans and the right listeners with Campaign Kit, our suite of tools for artists and music marketers. They help both emerging and established artists reach a wider fan base and grow their music career regardless of budget. For example, you can use Discovery Mode to help grow your audience with no upfront cost by reaching listeners in Spotify's personalized playlists. You can also use playlist pitching to help get your music in front of our editors, or Marquee to highlight the release moment. You can then use Showcase to continue the new release excitement. If you want a deep dive on how Campaign Kit works, head over to our last episode of Masterclass, where we were joined by Susie Rue from Venice Music and Mira Brock from M Theory. You've heard me talk about some of the new release tools we have on Spotify for Artists, but now, let's talk to Drew Maniscalco and Emily Puterbaugh to hear how they've been using these tools with their artists.
My name's Drew Maniscalco. I'm the VP of Atlantic Music Group. I run the pop side of our streaming team. My general love for the music industry came from when I was in high school. I started to track general album sales, specific chart races for some of my favorite artists. Kelly Clarkson was up against U2 one week, and that's really when I started, finding a love for the math and the analytics that go behind the music industry. I think one of the biggest thing that we're seeing is that artists are wanting to put out more music than ever and in a quicker timeline than what we're usually used to. So a lot of the times artists are in the studio, they'll tease a record, and then the feedback that they're getting instantly from that is something that they want to kind of grasp onto right away. They don't want to wait for the label to put together a plan. They want to be able to release a record and then plan, accordingly. And so it just means that we're then having to kind of shorten what we would normally look for in a, release runway.
My name is Emily Puterbaugh, and I'm the VP of Streaming for Secretly Group. Working in music is something that happened naturally. It started by going to and throwing house shows in high school, which extended into college. There, I started working at a venue, booking local openers for shows, and that's where I met the team from Secretly Group. So from there, I started working there part-time while I was still in school, and I never left. One of the challenges that we face when we're piecing together a release on a platform that's not made for music is moving fans from a social platform onto a monetized streaming platform. I mean, awareness is great, but ultimately we're trying to drive consumption. Spotify not only drives consumption and allows us to connect with audiences, but I think it also helps contextualize music and is a reflection of where a new release fits in culture.
Spotify is a big way for artists to express themselves and express their music in ways that are not available on multiple different platforms. Whether that's through clips or through canvases, artists are more than ever able to kind of take the expression of their single and expand upon that on platform.
Spotify for Artists is the one-stop shop for artists. I can't think of really another platform that allows artists and labels to pitch a new release, to optimize and amplify that release, to sell physical merch, to track performance in real time, all in one place. It really puts artists and labels in charge and gives them the tools from the pre-release phase through post-release. Khruangbin is a trio from Houston, Texas, that is known for blending kind of different global influences and sounds, with the name Khruangbin actually translating to the word airplane in Thai. And they don't quite fit in one genre space, but their sound kind of exists in the space between funk, soul, and psych rock. We used a variety of Spotify for Artists tools on Khruangbin's new album, Ala Sala. To make the most out of the countdown page, we made sure to pin it as the artist pick on their profile, which is valuable real estate. We also shared it regularly on socials, both from the artist and the label, just encouraging fans to pre-save the album. It created a universe on platform that matches the experience that fans were getting off platform. And they were able to kind of see these visuals that historically maybe would have only been visible on social platforms.
When you announce an album, you should instantly have your countdown page live. It gives you that day one landing page to then continually be driving back to. If you have an artist who's super social and down to drive that, you can every day be pointing people back to this album that you're trying to kind of make sure that everyone knows about. What's been so exciting about Charli XCX is that she's been an artist who's been at it for 10 plus years. With the release of Brat, it was really a chance for her to step into a much different lane than she had kind of normally been in. Charli came in with a very clear vision of what Brat was and what the world entailed. And so it was never straying from that. With Charli, it was figuring out what those first initial clips were going to be, finding out the time when you want to unveil your track list so that you can have another moment of excitement for the campaign. And then figuring out again, when can you use different hits along the campaign to drop additional countdown page clips so that people are going back to the page.
It's a one-stop shop for fans to pre-save an album, to view a full track list, to purchase merch and see behind-the-scenes clips. It's this living, breathing space where we're able to add additional content throughout a rollout, just enticing fans to come back and really just changing the way that fans are engaging with an album in that pre-release phase. On recent campaigns, we've found that the countdown page has generated up to 30 times more Spotify pre-saves than our off-platform buy link. So it really has had a significant impact on our week one streaming and ultimately our charting goals.
There's no other platform that I have the ability to kind of go the very next day and see the number of people that went in and engaged with my pre-save. And that is just really useful for the overall strategies that we'll kind of be able to take in these pre-campaigns. After the album was released, we were able to see that 92% of fans actually went back to the album and listened to it, showing that not only did they have the intention of listening to it before it was released, but actually went back and used the countdown page to get back to the album.
The visual component of Alla Sala was a really important part of the campaign. The album title translates to the living room, and that concept of listening to an album in kind of the intimate setting of a living room is something that carries on throughout the album. And one of the visuals used to portray that is a window, or kind of the idea of looking out a window. We would tease an upcoming track with kind of the more cohesive visual of that motion of the band interacting with the windows from the press photo shoot. And then once a track was out, we would upload an additional clip that was from the music video. We encourage our artists to get creative with how they use clips and really just do it in their own style and voice. There's not a right or wrong way to use the tool. I think what's more important is that it just feels organic and natural for the artist. So that might mean adding kind of behind the scenes context or talking about the music in a more direct to camera way. But it might also mean pulling more live performance.
It's the best way to extend the story of a song or the story of an album. We're constantly asking artists to provide a bespoke kind of exclusive content that doesn't live on other platforms. I think clips are very easy to pull from social assets and pull music video, and that's great. That's other ways to continue to promote the record and promote the song. But I think the best content and the most, exciting content for clips is stuff that's only going to live on platform, because that encourages a fan to go to the content on platform. So, when we're launching a countdown page, we're wanting to have that first clip that goes up be something that's not going to live anywhere else, so that the fans can, say, go to Spotify and find this clip, like that's where it lives. And we're more so than ever really trying to figure out, like, are there content series that we could be running exclusively on clips, and tapping into like what works for the artist and what works for the artist's overall creative, whether it's for that song or that album.
On Mitski's last album, The Land is Inhospitable and So Are We, she recorded what we referred to as song explainers for every track on the album. And we uploaded those as clips at each pre-release single as they dropped. And we uploaded those to the countdown page. It was just cool because fans had never really seen that from her.
One of the biggest strategies overall in just marrying the Brat brand with everything that we were able to do on Spotify was creating that through line. So on all of the canvases for the original track, it's that same iconic Brat green that everyone now knows, and you can't walk around without seeing someone wearing what is Brat green now. Unexpectedly, Charli went in with her creative team and reskinned all of the artwork for all of her previous albums. So every album has a different kind of Brat themed switch to the artwork. And that was just another way to kind of create excitement in general for the project and for this world that she had created. When Charli initially began setting this album up with us, the remix album was always part of the plan. What was so great about the remix album in general is just how vast the different collection of artists on that was. And so we were able to kind of tap into different fan bases and different segments of listeners by, doing a marquee or a showcase for different songs in different kind of segments of fans. I want to target people who are previously active, or I want to find these fans who maybe were my super fans 6 months ago, but instead there's been a lapse in their overall listening, and I want to kind of get back to them. So a lot of the times it's, were you able to kind of get those people back on board, or were you able to, for a new artist, bring new people in?
Our main goals are increasing overall consumption and also conversion to more leaned in streaming. About 2 weeks after the release of Alla Sala, we ran a showcase campaign targeting super listeners as just another way to re-engage that existing fan base. With Showcase, we're able to target active listeners of an artist and use that to get the current fan base onto a new release. Off-platform, we don't have active listener data, so we're targeting fans with an affinity for that music or who we think would be a fan of that specific artist. But without real listenership data, there is a bit more guesswork as opposed to our on-platform options. We're also able to more clearly measure success with Showcase through conversion tracking. So off-platform, We can see how a fan has interacted with an ad itself, but we don't know for certain that someone who has seen an ad or even clicked on an ad then has proceeded to stream a new release. Whereas with Showcase, we can more clearly draw that through line of someone interacting with an ad and then intentionally streaming the release.
More so than ever, we're really leaning into showcase campaigns and marquee campaigns. So with the Brad original album, what we found is that especially after it launched with such a high critical praise and was really becoming kind of this phenomenon of culture, we were able to then maximize visibility by the use of that marquee campaign because it was something that was so top of mind. When the marquee placement pops up onto the phone, it is not something that fans found as an advertisement or something that was kind of trying to drive them to something they wouldn't want to consume. It was more so just saying, hey, go stream this album that everyone's talking about.
If we're seeing momentum for a track off platform, we will often opt that track into discovery mode to amplify that moment and kind of make that connection with fans. We'll also see if the algorithm is showing an affinity for a specific track. So we'll look to opt in a track that's already performing well within the Spotify radio and autoplay space. We've just found that our most successful discovery mode campaigns are when we're amplifying a moment that's already happening organically.
It's a really great opportunity for us to create momentum on platform for records that have been released and maybe need that additional push without the artist really having to do anything. So on our end, we're able to submit the record and instantly see an increase in streams. And a lot of that is coming from what we call like the algorithmic side of things. But again, oftentimes that algorithmic stream turns into someone who hears a record and ends up saving it to their library and kind of having it become part of their organic streaming. Another artist that I'm super excited about is the Marías. We released their sophomore album, Submarine, earlier this year. The listening party with the Marías was definitely a highlight of the campaign for myself and for the band. The best thing about listening parties is the chat component and just the ability to kind of see the excitement from the fans. One of the songs on the record is a bit more up-tempo. It's called Hamptons, and the fans lovingly gave themselves the name the Freak Marines in that chat. So from then on, the Freak Marines were something that continued throughout the campaign. The band ended up throwing Freak Marine after parties at all of their tour stops, kind of celebrating this new fandom that kind of was created in the Spotify listening party. We go through so much to get to the point of album release. And so for the band to be able to get on to have direct communication with the fans who are loving the album and to get that initial kind of instant feedback is something that they all really loved.
Khruangbin has this very active community online of people who are talking in forums and trading collectibles and meeting up before shows. So a listening party was a way for the band to expand that and participate. It kind of created this unfiltered experience for these top fans to congregate online and listen to the album together, which was something that was really important to the band. The fan reaction to the listening party was incredible. I mean, not only was the conversation during the party just very enthusiastic and engaging, but we saw fans talking about the listening party after the fact across socials. So yeah, it's definitely something that we're looking to do for more of our artists very soon.
The three biggest things for maximizing a release moment in general: one, delivering the music early and getting the music into the pitch tool early. You can go in and get your music heard by hundreds of editors across the world, but you need to get it in there early or they're not going to be able to hear it.
One tip would be amplifying IRL moments at release. So whether it's a release week event or a pop-up or an activation, broadcasting that widely so it reaches a more global scale.
My second thing would be to be creative, like find a way to use the different tools like canvases, like countdown pages, like clips to really kind of promote not only yourself, but the art that you've created as a whole. So you want people to be talking about, how cool the canvas is on this song, or, share the clip that they found on the platform.
Number two, I think engaging superfans, but also looking outside your current audience, using all of the tools that are available, whether it's short form or playlisting or in-app advertising, just going beyond that current audience.
And then I think the third thing is just it all just doesn't end after week one or after the song is out. There are so many different phases to a release, and, you can constantly be uploading new clips content. You can be refreshing your canvases. You can be doing all of these things to kind of continue to water that plant that you released, into the world.
And 3, using the release moment to expand on the narrative of a release, and just using this moment to put the artist's story first, since that really is what fans are going to resonate with, and no better time than the release moment.
A huge thank you to our guests for joining us today. It's been amazing to hear how these tools can be put to use to help build and amplify artists' new releases. Head over to our new release site now to learn more about the tools we've discussed today. We have a new release checklist to help you through the process so your next release strategy can be supercharged. We're also adding tools all the time, so be sure to keep your eyes peeled. Okay, time to wrap things up. We'd love to hear your feedback on the episode and how you're planning to use these new release tools. Be sure to hit us up on socials. Keep an eye on those channels and Spotify for Artists itself for more on our masterclasses and other educational programs. Thanks for joining us on this episode, and we'll see you again soon.